Good morning, everybody. Shavua Tov. Dvar Torah from Magen David, Los Angeles. We in the book today. We started last week the Parashat Vayikra, and many Chachamim, the scholars, call it Torah Kohanim. This is the book of Torah Kohanim because many of the parashiyot deal with korbanot and sacrifices for the Beit HaMikdash and so on. This week's Parashat Tzav is a phenomenal thing that Chachamim point out. And that is, if you go back in last week's parasha, Vayikra, it doesn't mention Aharon's name once. All the time it says Bnei Aharon, the children of Aharon. And all the korbanot and all the service of the Beit HaMikdash doesn't mention his name. But in this week's parasha, straight away, Tzav et Aharon et Banav. Command Aharon and his children. It mentions Aharon's name. Regarding what melacha, what type of work does it mention Aharon's name? It would be called the most lowest type of job a person can ever think of in his life. What is that? Terumat HaDeshen. What is Terumat HaDeshen? Every morning, you can just imagine, the Kohen has to put on the special garb, his special clothes, his priestly looking king type of clothes that he is, kind of a melech, and he goes with these special clothes, and the first thing he has to do, the first thing in the morning, is go and take out all the ashes, all the dirt, and the ashes that was left over from the night before of the korbanot, or the sacrifices that was being offered up in the altar. So you could just think about this type of job, the first thing the Kohen has to do in the morning. And for some reason here the Torah especially stresses, who does this job? Tzav et Aharon et Banav. Yes, the Kohen Gadol, that's his job, he has to do that. What's the purpose of this job? You can imagine it's like, put it in our terms, it's like taking out the garbage every single morning. Going with the garbage and taking it out. And not only that, he has to do this in public. People are watching him doing this. It doesn't seem so appropriate for the Kohen to do such a thing. Why is this so? Why did the Torah so particularly say the Kohen has to do this? He couldn't get a maid to do such a thing. He couldn't get a cleaner to go and sweep out the ashes. It's not so respect, kavod for the Kohen to do such a thing. What's the purpose of it? So the Hatam Sofer says and explains this in the Chovat HaLevavot. The Torah commanded the Kohen to do this because he wanted to make sure, sometimes a person is in a very high level of prestige and honor and kavod, right? You're a CEO of a company, or you're a king, or you're a CEO or a prince. It gets to you somehow. You feel that you're different than everybody else. You feel that, as you say, I'm VIP. Everybody is regular, but I'm a VIP person. And the Torah doesn't like arrogance. Has for Shalom. In case some kind of arrogance gets into a person. And the Torah wants to show, even the Kohen, you're a Kohen, and people have to respect you, and you're different, correct. But every single morning, take out the garbage. Take out the Terumat HaDeshen. Take out the ashes. This has to teach you humility. To remember that you're like every single person too. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like it when people get in their head that they're different, that they're more special. Every single person is unique. We have kavod for you, we have respect for you, but in the end of the day, there's one person in this whole world, one identity, who we give kavod to, maximum kavod, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even a Kohen has to remember that and realize that. So every morning, he has to be humbled to do such a job. Just like the Torah wants to make sure that the Kohen or somebody very important doesn't get into his head that his arrogance, that he should be like everybody else, he should be humble. The same way the Torah respects the humble person, the ani, the poor person. The Torah is very careful to keep the dignity of the poor person too. And we see this in the story of Bikurim. When Am Yisrael come and bring their first fruit to the Beit HaMikdash of the Shivat HaMinim, they come there and, you can imagine, they're waiting to do this beautiful mitzvah. The first fruit is grown, the grapes, the dates, the wheat, all the beautiful fruits are growing, and they come into the Beit HaMikdash. So the Gemara tells us a story, that the rich people come, and they have orchards, and they come with beautiful baskets made of gold and silver. And the poor people, you can just imagine standing on the line over there, this poor person, who has a few lousy, has one tree of grapes, has a few lousy grapes, just about, ripe. How does he feel? Standing in the line next to a rich person who's coming with these gold and silver baskets of delicious, deluxe grapes and fruits and dates and figs and looks so beautiful. And he has this little mizy little thing, and he comes in a basket of little reeds and woods. How does he feel? Says the Gemara that the Kohen takes the fruits from the rich person and gives him back the basket. But the poor person, the Kohen takes, not only does he take the fruits, he takes his whole basket too. So the Gemara asks, what's going on? The poorer is getting even poorer and the rich is getting rich. Why should the rich person get his basket back and the poor man not? And the Gemara answers, no. This is to honor the poor person, to respect the poor person, to keep the dignity of the poor person. Because the poor person doesn't feel good. He doesn't have such beautiful fruits, doesn't have a nice basket. So you can imagine if the Kohen takes his fruits and gives him back the basket, everybody will see what kind of fruits he brought. It doesn't look good to the Kohen, to the poor person. Therefore the Torah doesn't want to embarrass him and takes his whole basket and says, even your basket for me is more precious than anybody else. That's how, to such a far stage, the Torah goes to keep the dignity of the poor. And the same level is, when it comes to a rich person, he has to realize, take out the garbage every single morning. Don't think you're any better than anybody else. I once had a story, sometimes we do these things in life. We have a mitzvah called Achnasat Orchim, a classic example. Most of us, who do we invite in our homes? We invite people, nice people, settled people, people who have established people who have money, people, who invites really poor people into their home? But the mitzvah is really to invite somebody poor. That's what real Achnasat Orchim is. People who have established people, they have their own food at home, they have everything. But that's what we do. Do we really invite for poor people at home to our house? Pesach is coming up. Let's think who we're inviting to our home. So once I had the story with Rabbi Pam, that this was in Europe, I think this was his father, that they used to have a minhag that every week the rabbi would take somebody into his house. One week there was only 2 people in the shul who were guests. So the gabbai comes up to the rabbi and says, there are 2 people. One guy is a businessman, and one guy, rabbi, he's wearing shreds, he's very poor, and I don't want you, the rabbi, to take him to your house because it's not kavod for you. I'll take the poor man to my house, and you can take the rich businessman who's here as a guest in our shul this week. So the Rabbi Pam, his father, said to the gabbai, I'm sorry, I want the poor person. The one who's wearing those shredded clothes, I want him. So he said, why? It's not your dignity. Please, I'll take him. So he said a classic thing to him. He said, listen, when I invite somebody to my house to do the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim, to invite guests, I'm not looking for a business partner or a learning partner. I'm looking for one type of candidate. Somebody who knows how to eat food. And I think even this guy passes for such a candidate. And that's something we need to remember. When we do a mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim, we do such mitzvot, don't forget the poor people. Don't forget the people who are not so, they're not so privileged like we are. And many times we forget them, especially now Pesach is coming. And we say in the beginning of the Haggadah, Kol dichfin yetev yechol. Whoever is hungry, come and eat. Right? We declare this in front of our whole family. And we have to ask ourselves this question: who are we inviting? Who are we really inviting? Kol dichfin yetev yechol. Whoever's hungry, come and eat. It's good to invite family, good to invite guests, but don't forget the people who are not so privileged. Hachamim sometimes ask and say that how can we say Kol dichfin yetev yechol, whoever's hungry come and eat, when we already closed our doors? So in order that we shouldn't Chas Shalom be like liars, there's such a thing called Ma'ot Hitim. We have to be careful. There's a mitzvah in Shulchan Aruch before Pesach to give money to the poor. Make sure that they're privileged too. The Rambam writes that if a person wants to really be happy during the Chag, especially now Pesach coming up, there's so much to buy, so much to do. We have wine, we have meats, we have everything. We're going to be sitting with our family. We're supposed to take out our most best type of plates and cutlery and all our silverware. We have to ask ourselves this question: how can we enjoy ourselves if we didn't give any tzedakah to people who are not so privileged? Let's make sure that this year we're not only going to think of ourselves, we're going to think of the poor and the people who are not so privileged too, so we can really have a beautiful Simcha and a beautiful Pesach. Hag Sameach to all of you.